everybody, welcome back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris with another Rumour Has It video where we're talking about players linked to Newcastle United in this coming transfer window and just throughout the course of the season going, really. So no surprise we get linked to that many players these days. There's been a couple of names doing the rounds actually recently, so we're going to get stuck in. One is one for the future, and one very much might be one for the present. So we're going to get stuck into that in just a brief second. Before I do a little bit of housekeeping, if you haven't already, please click that like and subscribe button. We'd love you to come and join us. We're on about 1954, I think, subscribers now. So we're really close to that 2,000 mark. We'd love you to come get there. Then Mark can change this little graphic at the bottom that says 2,000 plus subscribers. So it's all free content. We've got 2 live shows every week, Mondays and Wednesdays, and pop-up videos like match previews, reviews, and then transfer banter, just like this. So we're going to get stuck straight into this then. And we're going to talk about this young, talented player, one for the future potentially that we'll be looking at. So it's another Brazilian. We'll all be happy to know. We love a Brazilian in Newcastle. So this is the lad that we're looking at reportedly, who is a winger. He plays for Santos, and it is Ângelo Gabriel. And he's a very, very handy looking player, to be honest with you. He's only 17 years old. As you can see there, God, that makes me feel old seeing his date of birth there. But yeah, he looks a very talented player. He's going to be 18 very soon, obviously coming to Christmas time. In terms of what kind of player he is, the Brazilian media have dubbed him very similar to Neymar. He's got those kind of elastic hips where he can just change direction at the blink of an eye without even knowing about it. He's got pace, he's got skill, he's got flair, he's got a bit of strength as well. Obviously, he's getting a bit older, he's getting a bit bigger, he's getting roughed around by fully grown men now from playing through youth academies, and he just looks a hell of a prospect. He's more of an assist maker than he is a goal getter. I know Neymar was very much like that in his early stage of his career as well, that he just started bashing in the goals. A lot of the Brazilian media are saying that they think that this lad will inevitably start bashing in loads of goals as well. They always kind of start this way, the Rivaldos, the Ronaldinhos, the Neymars. They start, with doing flicks and tricks and step overs and twists and turns and setting up the strikers. Then all of a sudden they just start cutting inside and smashing the ball in the back of the net. So this player is very, very highly thought of. I think him and Endrick is the other one that's doing the rounds at the moment. Not for us, sadly. I think he's probably going to be Real Madrid or Barca bound, but he's the goal machine. He's the one that's banging all the goals, and they've likened him to the old R9, the phenom himself, Ronaldo. So that's a hell of a comparison for that young lad as well. But this kid is definitely up there, with the next conveyor belt of Brazilian superstars. And the reported links are is that Newcastle United are closing in on a fee in the region of £22 million. I think apparently we went in for a bid of 18 million in the summer, and it was knocked back. But it looks to me like this could really be one for the future, and certainly a goer. I mean, we signed Grand Qual under the noses of some of the most established teams in Europe, and for years and years, these European super clubs, your Inter Milans, your Barças, your Reals, your ACs, your Juventus, all these teams have been grabbing this Brazilian talent, from the Brazilian league and then making them into world superstars where they've cost hundreds of millions of pounds, like Neymar, like Ronaldo, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho. I could go on. It looks like Newcastle United are very much in the ballpark of being able to appeal to these young players as well now, and having something that they can believe in, they can get on board with. And that's massive credit to obviously the owners and Dan Ashworth coming in and people like that as well. So yeah, I mean, looking at some of the stats there that Mark's bashed up, obviously we can't do a percentile comparison because he's not playing one of the top 5 European leagues. You can see he hugs out wide there quite a lot. 23 games, he's got 1 goal, 5 assists, likes a shot, 25 shots in 23 games, which shows you, like I said, that is growing in terms of those goals will come from the older he gets. His expected assists, you can see there 4.42, pass completion is 74%, and the dribble completion is 61. Now you can see how he's even improved from last year in terms of his dribble completion. So he's up by nearly 20% there. So that goes to show you that the lad is getting better and better as the years go by. So I mean that is a phenomenal player for the future that we could potentially bring in, and he could very well be one of those players that maybe comes in with one eye for the future, and then he ends up being so good that he could actually end up being one for the now. But we'll watch that one. There's another player, obviously. I think Andre Santos is the other player that will be linked to, who's more of a box-to-box defensive midfielder. That of kind of a Yaya Toure type mold. So that would be a hell of a signing as well. But just goes to show you Newcastle aren't standing still. Never mind improving the squad that we have now and players for the now, but we're also looking for players for the future as well. So that's a really exciting prospect to hopefully keep our eyes on over the coming months. But there's another player who we're going to talk about now who I say he's been linked to, has kind of been suggested as a link. So ex-Spurs goalkeeper Paul Robinson was doing a podcast here, and he was talking about a player who was coming to the final 12 months of his contract. And it's a player who's quite often been linked to what you would call, I suppose, bigger clubs than the one he was at. A very, very exciting player, a very talented player, but one who can cause a little bit of controversy in terms of what people think about him. And this is the guy we're talking about right here. So it's none other than Wilfried Zaha. So, before we get into anything about Wilfried Zaha, let's call a spade here. This kid is a very, very talented footballer. He's got pace, strength, dribbling ability, skill. He can create, he can score. He's got a hell of an eye for goal. You can see there in terms of his stats for Crystal Palace, 298 games, 70 goals. He's a winger, by all stretches, and 29 assists as well. He did have a spell at Manchester United, obviously, when he was younger, when he came from Palace originally. Maybe it was just too young, I think, for him at that particular time. There's two sides of Zaha you can have a look at here before you really get stuck into the statistics, which are very good. The two sides of Zaha really are one, that he's extremely talented footballer who can win your game on his own. He's got the X factor. He's a leader as well. He takes it by the scruff of the neck. I've seen Palace be shocking in games, and Zaha can just drop a shoulder or pick up on a loose ball, run past 2 or 3 and smash in the top corner and win the game 2-1 or 1-0 or whatever it is. That's the kind of player you want in your squad. It really, really is. In terms of the other side of Zaha, it's the moany side. It's the one who's whinging at referees all the time. It's the one that the fans, laugh at and boo and call wanker and all that kind of stuff. But I think they do that because they know he's such a good footballer. He's very similar in terms of Alan St-Maximin, really. We don't see that because Maxi's our player. But I think if you're looking at players outside the top 6 and you're talking about who are the best players outside of the traditional top 6, you're thinking about players like James Maddison. You're thinking about players like Wilfried Zaha. If you weren't a Newcastle fan, you're thinking about players like Alan St-Maximin. So, if we had a chance to sign Zaha, I just think it would be a no-brainer, really, in my opinion. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Like I say, it does split opinion a little bit. But if you think about the way we play, and that was Paul Robinson's point, we play with that press, we play with that speed out wide, hitting people, I suppose, on a counter-attack, pushing up high, winning the ball, and then pushing forward. He thinks that Zaha could fit in really well at our team in our particular way of playing. And I think Eddie Howe would get the best out of Zaha. I really do. I'm not quite sure what the fee would be. Obviously, we've been in the last 12 months of his contract. I know previously, I think Arsenal were interested in him and they were quoting 70 million quid or something like that. It wouldn't be anything like that. It might possibly be something in the realms of the James Maddison numbers, 40 to 50 million. But if you're looking at his stats in isolation there, you can see his goals per game, 19 minutes. I think he's got, 5 goals so far this season? I'm just going to have a quick check on my stats that I had up there a second ago. So, yeah, he's got 5 goals and 1 assist in 11 games. So, looking at his goals to game ratio in terms of the 90 minutes, he's in the 85th percentile for that. Shots as well, 0.18 shots a game, 78th percentile. Shots on target in the 86th percentile. Nearly half of what he does is on target. In terms of assists, you see there his assists are quite low because he's only got that 1 assist. You really want a little bit more from him, but the fact that he's got 5 goals in 11 games shows that he's becoming more of a goal threat than a goal creator. Now, if you put, no disrespect to the likes of Edouard and guys like that, but if you put him in a side with Callum Wilson who makes those runs, or Isak that makes those runs, like St-Maximin, he may very well get his assist numbers up, to be fair. But looking at the rest of it, I suppose he does get dispossessed quite a bit, but that's because he often commits a lot of players, and his dribble completion, I suppose, isn't great in terms of the statistics there. So in terms of his key strengths, as Mark says, he is a dribbler, he runs at people, he's a great finisher, and he wins you loads of free kicks. But in terms of his negative signs, he gets dispossessed a lot. His discipline's a bit, to be desired, and he does get caught offside quite a bit. But I think players with pace in this modern day game, when if your laces are too big, you get caught offside. It is often a bit of a downturn for them. But if you look at how he compares on the radar on the side next to St-Maximin, goals, he smashes them completely, and shots, even past completion as well, to be fair to him, on 77%. He's ahead of Maxi, but he's not ahead of Maxi for key passes, shot creation chances, or assists either. So in terms of that, St-Maximin is a better creator, That might be a lot to do with the fact that he's got a Callum Wilson in the middle of the box that he can create those chances for. But like I say, I'm all in favour if there's a chance we can go and get Wilfried Zaha. I know we've got PK's infamous no dickhead policy. He may struggle to get into that, really, possibly. But I think he's a smashing player. Forget all of this stuff, forget the noise, forget the moaning, forget that kind of stuff. He's a match winner. I always thought him and Gareth Bale were trodden a very similar path. I think they possessed a lot of similar qualities as a player in terms of that speed, that change of direction, that eye for goal, that strength, that kind of willingness to be the man. But just Bale went up levels at that, and Zaha kind of stayed where he was. That might be an element, the fact he didn't get his move maybe to a bigger club when he wanted to get it. But it's an interesting one. He's 29 years old, as the graphic showed there. If he wants one last move at a big club, this might be the chance to do it. With this Newcastle United project going the way it is, you never know. Zaha might fancy it. I still think Maddison's one for us to get in January. So maybe if we get Maddison, we might not be looking at Zaha in January, but possibly in the summer. You just don't know what's going to happen there. So there's loads of exciting names getting linked to the club, and I'm sure the higher that we get up the table, the better we do in the league, the bigger these names are going to become, really. So it's a really exciting time to be a Newcastle United fan, and we'll be coming up with loads more of these videos, I'm sure, over the next few weeks and over the World Cup as well, before the transfer window officially opens in January. So as I mentioned at the start, if you haven't already, please smash that like and subscribe button. We'd love you to come on board. We're pushing up towards that 2,000 mark. Hopefully we'll get there soon enough. If we can get there before the World Cup, we'll be absolutely buzzing. So help us get there if you can, guys. Loads of free content coming. Me and Mark are going to be back with What's Going On Monday at 10 o'clock. Halloween special. We're going to have some Toon Frights in there as well, so make sure you check that out. Then we'll be back on Wednesday for the Evermore podcast, where we just chew through the fat from the Villa game and a few other topics as well. So until then, let's keep supporting that team of Core United. This is Chris signing off, and we'll catch you later. Cheers, bye.